Hey everybody, it is Tuesday night, 12:26 in the East, 9:26 in the West. First order of business Tuesday night, that's tomorrow night, and I'm proud to say it's going to be at 11 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock on the West Pacific. Will Durst. Hey, Barry Lee is here! How you doing, Barry Lee? Welcome. How's San Antonio, man? Uh, Will Durst, the famed San Francisco political comedian, will be my guest here on a special Zenny 62 on YouTube. 8 o'clock, again, 8 o'clock Pacific. I just put out another video talking about that. Well, actually, it's the first video. I put out other types of, social media notifications, but this is a video blog. Barry Lee says he's busy working late hours with his new job, kind of like I'm working late hours with my job. Not new. But at any rate, Barry, I'm glad you're with us and taking time to visit. But hopefully you can visit us tomorrow as well, because Will Durst is coming. Now today, some really predictable, but nonetheless for Oakland extraordinary developments have come in, and that is simply this: that the Port of Oakland voted seven. The Port of Oakland Board of Commissioners voted 7-0 to allow a 4-year phase of negotiations during what is called the exclusive negotiating agreement period. Okay, so that's enough time. That's quite a bit of time. That's takes us from 2019 to 2023, which is about what the ACE timetable is. And so you're probably wondering, okay, what does this all mean, Zenny? I'll tell you what it means. First of all, in the context of Oakland history, this is the first time that a sports organization has entered into an exclusive negotiating agreement at this juncture with the idea of having a 4-year discussion that leads to a due diligence and development agreement. In the past, we've had efforts that didn't get this far. The most recent one was 2014, when a group of Oakland business people and members of the port, some members of the Port Board of Commissioners, simply voted to punt, and believing the Howard Terminal had too much opposition to move forward. This is a different climate, and you would say, what's the difference? The difference, quite simply, is that after Doug Boxer and the late T. Gary Rogers now, unfortunately, and others, Cess Butner and others, bowed out because of opposition from Schnitzer Steel and residents like Vivian Kahn and so on, there was an effort to remarket Howard Terminal for an expansion of port properties, port functions. That failed. Okay, that failed. And that's why that property sits there to this day unused, talking about Howard Terminal. All right. Meanwhile, as broke by Richard Height, our on-the-scene vlogger for Zenny 62 Media, Dave Cavall analyzed the Coliseum suitability for the kind of new baseball stadium the Athletics wanted, and came up with a bombshell that has not been sufficiently communicated, and that's going to change, and that is this. Cavall, according to Richard Height, says that the problem with the Coliseum is that, for those of you who say, hey, I want the A's at Coliseum, here's why you're not going to see the A's at the Coliseum. Because Cavall contends that it's going to take $400 million to erase the sinking land problem that he says is the Coliseum, according to their analysis. That is, the Coliseum is already below sea level. And he says that as we go into the next 20 years, it's only going to go further into sea level, and he believes eventually underwater. Now, that's what they believe. That's their analysis. Uh, and he says the only way to get around that is for the Athletics to spend $400 million to essentially build a platform and lift the baseball stadium up so that it is at grade, at sea level, and thereby not susceptible to the problem that he points to. And that brings us to Howard Terminal. Okay? Howard Terminal's environmental problems pale from the A's perspective in comparison to what they believe they have to face at the Coliseum. And that's $400 million, not just to bring the land up to upgrade. This is also a problem the Raiders or anyone else would face building there, provided they look at the situation the same way. I could say that that's such a long-term problem out that by the time it becomes a problem, if it ever does become a problem, the 30 or 40-year lease term will be up. But I digress. The bottom line is Caval sees that as a problem, and right now they are in a negotiating position such that that is an issue, and it has brought them to Howard Terminal, and that's where they're at, and that's why they're building. That's one reason among many why they're trying so hard to get something done at Howard Terminal, and also why they try to get hard to get something done at Peralta. Okay, and it's not. And I have to say something else too. It's not the first time I've heard this problem. I heard Dave Caval talk about that problem with another person while we were at A's Fan Fest last year. He brought that up to a patron regarding the sea level issue. So this has been something that has been on the mind of the president of the A's for quite some time. Now, the other consideration here is that where we are is a milestone unto itself for the Athletics to, again, a privately financed effort to this point. It's going to change. But to this point of privately financed effort that draws in one of the most innovative architecture firms in the world. We've never had that before in Oakland, except for, save for the cathedral, which is along Lake Merritt, okay? And Barry Lee asked, what about the arena? Is it sinking too? Well, when you say the Coliseum area and that part of it, that's a good question, Barry, because I would have to say the answer is not exactly. And the reason is that if you take a look at the arena, it's built on a mound, all right? So what Caval is talking about would ultimately lead to the kind of mound that the arena is built on. I mean, if you take a look, let me show you what I'm talking about, because this Oracle Arena, and I'm going to bring that up with Scott McKibben too as a discussion point, and Oracle Arena photographs, images. Let's see if we can get an outdoor image. Yeah, here's one among many. Here's one. Okay, take a look at this. All right. You see how you have to walk up? This is one. This is something that you're familiar with looking at, where you see Oracle Arena, and you have to walk up to it, or even if you come in, I have to drive up to it. All right, so it's already well above grade, and it's further above grade than the stadium next to it is. So here is another, see if we can get another view. This is another, and that's artist rendition from the freeway. That's not exactly what I want to, oh, here's one, okay. Here is, you can see Oracle Arena here. Hey, Patrick and Blackman. You see how Oracle Arena, take a look how Oracle Arena is lifted up further above the ground. Well, all right. Then the stadium is actually sunken in the ground. You see that? Okay. So what Dave is saying is essentially bringing, in the case of a new ballpark, putting it on a level like this. He says that this is going to cost $400 million here, plus the fact that you're building Coliseum City as well. All right, so that's what Dave Cavall is pointing to. Here's another view where you can see, and you would say, well, gee, it looks like the stadium has the same berm, but no, actually it doesn't, because what happens is that this mound actually is such that actually the mound is kind of a bowl itself for the arena to be sunken but still above grade, whereas the Coliseum here feels below grade. Okay, so that's the difference that Cavall is talking about, that he doesn't have to deal with at Howard Terminal. All right, so let me get to your question, John Call, as soon as I get this set, and then I'll go back to where. And let's see here. John Call says, "Hello. Do you see the Oakland Coliseum being torn down after the Athletics leave for their new ballpark? I see it being. Why no? I see a future for the. I see it being renovated in some kind of way. Torn down, it has to be, because look, the facility is old, and the only aspect of it that's new is, if you even want to say that's new, is the East Side Club of the Coliseum, and that was built in 1996. So you've got 96, 2006, 2026. Excuse me, 96, 2006, 2016, 2026. So we're coming close to a 30-year-old mark for that alone. And if you take a look at what's going on with stadiums now, stadiums are getting to the point where they're 22 years old and they're being replaced. So that alone spells the end of its useful life as it currently exists. I'm talking about the east side of the Coliseum, not the total. But the total Coliseum as a whole is extremely outdated. The plus 200 level, or what we call the plus 200 level, what you call the second level, has extremely narrow corridors. The concession area comes into the walk area in such a way that it makes that during big games, passing through there becomes sometimes, unless you like bumper cars or being crushed, an unpleasant experience. Or if you know the area well enough, you can go to the second deck, go around, and then go down, right? And sometimes you need a pass to do that, or you could find a nice usher and make a case that way. In either end, the bottom line is it's hard to go through there. Modern corridors, like for example at 49ers Stadium, Levi, that first level is roughly almost 3 times the width of the second level and the first level for the A's. So the one part of the A's Raiders Stadium that does shine are the clubs. The East Side Club is very spacious. You'd like to take that design for football and replicate it around the stadium if you could, but no matter how you do it, even then, you have to completely redesign. The stadium. Okay, you really do, in all kinds of ways. Materials, say for one, and that's the strength of the density of the material. And you say, why do you say that, Zen? And I say it because of this. Because for all of the criticism the Coliseum has sustained, one thing you can't take away is that it withstood one of the largest earthquakes the country has ever had, the Bay Area in Oakland has ever had, and that was the Loma Prieta earthquake, which was almost 6 on the Richter scale. So it emerged, the Coliseum Stadium did, without a scratch, okay? Without a crack. So, and that's remarkable. No one ever talks about that. As maligned as the stadium is, people conveniently forget, maybe because they weren't here, I was, that the Coliseum withstood that earthquake and then some. And not only that, folks, get this, it withstood the earthquake and allowed the World Series to go on, where the A's clobbered and swept the Giants. Okay, it was a Bay Area World Series. So in the middle of it, and Al Michaels could be heard with his famous, now famous, he has a lot of famous quotes, doesn't he? His now famous statement, folks, I think we're having an earth. He was going to say earthquake. Okay. Uh, that was an amazing moment for Oakland, an amazing moment for the A's, an amazing moment for the Bay Area. And then it happened, and the whole of the nation and the world was already focused on Oakland and San Francisco because of the World Series, but the earthquake just heightened the attention. And all that attention was placed in the Coliseum, and the Coliseum came through with flying colors. So Barry Lee says, I can see them raising the field and reducing seating. And a guy says, the count says, I usually go down lower level and then pass all the corridor traffic up to my lower deck seating that way. That's a great idea. Yeah, there's what he's talking about, there's a ramp that you can go down, and if you turn this way, you can go out the stadium, but then you can go down that ramp to the first level, and then you can go up that ramp to the second level. But it's a way of bypassing the crowd in the middle there, okay? That's what he's talking about. That's a great point. I forgot about that, the count. And welcome to Zenny62. Hey, Ed Reed, how you doing? Welcome, Edward Reed. Nice to have you here as well. So where the A's are right now is they are solidly in position to do this. Right now, prior to this point, they were in what's called the pre-development phase, and they still are. But they are in the first part of the pre-development phase where they're getting approvals that lead up to what's called the right to hold an exclusive negotiating agreement on Howard Terminal. That means that nobody else can come in and discuss with the A's, discuss with the Port of Oakland any idea, including ballpark or whatever, for building at Howard Terminal in the area that's designated, except the Oakland Athletics. And they have a 4-year right to do that. Now the question is, what are they building over that 4-year right? And what they are building are more than, I think the A's website kind of got this wrong. It's more than just environmental approvals, but it's also design guidelines. It is preliminary fee splits between the city and the athletics and other jurisdictions. It's all of the components that are required to build the ballpark up to a point where you're saying, okay, we're satisfied that we have all these approvals. We're satisfied that we have these cost and financial relationships laid out. We have the state legislative approvals we seek. And now we're ready to move to what is called the due diligence and development agreement period. And so the due diligence and development agreement period forms a book. It gives you the right to form a DDA. When you're at the period, when you're ready to go to a DDA, okay, and then the development agreement is approved, that means you can build. And that's where the A's are headed toward, all right? They're headed to a point where they're at the ENA now. They're at the exclusive negotiating agreement period. And once they're ready, then they're ready to move into, and they'll go to the council, they'll go to the Port of Oakland and to the city, and they'll form what's called due diligence and development agreement. And that due diligence and development agreement says, here's everything we're going to do in building the stadium. And when that's approved, then they can start building. That's what this does. This ENA period gets them to a DDA. Okay? You want a solid vote on the DDA? When you get that, hey, you can start building. That's where they're headed. That's where they're headed. Okay? So I would like to see and I need to look at the documents myself, because I would like to see a somewhat shorter ENA period that goes into a development agreement period within it, so that by 2023 the A's are ready to build this thing, and it opens by, because right now the way it's looking is, he said 4 years. So you got 2019, 220, 221, 223, 222, 221, okay, yeah. Okay, this right, it's 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022. So that's 4 years. All right. So if you get that done, you get the DDA, then you can, and you get the DDA at the end, then you can start building on the way to what looks like not a 2023 completion, but more like 2024, 2025. All right, yeah, 2025. That's what that looks like. So that's the course that we're on, and they're going to hit it. Oakland's going to have a new ballpark, an exciting new ballpark that's going to completely remake Jack London Square. Heck, it's going to completely remake Oakland. That's where we're at. And the thousands of people, there were 1,000 people down there according to Richard Hike, the 1,000 people that were down there, they weren't down there just because they wanted to. They want this thing. They're people who want this to move forward, and they're supportive of the A's and Dave Kaval and what he's done, and I think he should be applauded, because Dave Kaval, to me, has done more than any other sports executive for Oakland outside of Wally Haas and the Haas family. But Wally Haas was the president of the A's. Dave Kaval is the modern Wally Haas, okay? And that's a high compliment. Dave Kaval's only problem is he didn't go to Cal like Wally and I did, and we're both old Blues, and we're both on the Alumni Association board at different points. That's Dave Kaval's only failing here. But no, seriously, he has to be, I think, applauded several times over for what he has done and what he is doing, and I think it's incredible. I really do. I really do. Now, if anybody has any questions, that was the time to type those questions in. Let me get to the Raiders news. For those of you who might have chimed in and says, what's this about, the Raiders and Oakland and Coca-Cola, okay? If you were here the other night, you saw where a viewer had claimed that they worked for Coca-Cola, and that Coca-Cola was going to be a sponsor for the Las Vegas Raiders, the Las Vegas Stadium that's to be built. That's the home of the Raiders, or the new home of the Raiders, right? So it made a lot of sense, that rumor. It made a great deal of sense that that would come out, right? That would be the case, even though. So what I did was, me being me, I reached out to Coca-Cola. I certainly did. That night, I sent an email to Coca-Cola Public Relations, and I said, it reads as follows: to whom it may concern, I'm Zenny Abraham of Zenny 62 Media, and I'm writing to confirm news that Coca-Cola has signed to become a sponsor for the Las Vegas Stadium that is under construction in Las Vegas, and for the Oakland Raiders and UNLV. Please respond as soon as possible, as I'm under deadline. Thank you, Zenny Abraham. So this is what I got back. What I got back was, excuse me, I got back this, yeah. First of all, one person, I'm not going to mention names, said to the other, blank, do you know anything about this? Zenny Abraham, and all right. And so, didn't get an answer, so I called again. And what I got was this. And the answer is, hi, Zenny, I apologize, because what he wrote was, it said classified confidential. And I thought, so you're telling me this is a classified confidential question? Wow. And Mr. Davis, Max Davis of Coca-Cola says, and yeah, there's his name, says, hi, Zenny, I apologize. The email was sent to you in error. It was meant for my colleague. The classified confidential line is just part of my signature and was not meant to be part of my response. We're still tracking this down, and we'll share what we're able to find out as soon as possible. And I said, no worries, thanks for the update. So there you go. Coca-Cola officially doesn't know anything. And so, like I said the other night, some people put stuff out because they hope that I'm just going to say, oh, Coca-Cola did this, right? And I put it out as rumor because that's what it was. And someone said, well, it's 100% true. And I don't know who this person is. So it's information that sounds good enough to be true. But the whole point is, I look at it this way. It's no skin off my back and every skin off the project's back if that's not true. Okay? And I mean, if you want a comparable of what I'm talking about, take a look at Ring Central. The Ring Central deal was to be done in April, but Ring Central is a company, not Coca-Cola. This isn't the case for Coca-Cola, but Ring Central is a company that isn't used to dealing with a public entity, and so there's a lot of issues that they have with for example, not that all add up to basically them not disclosing much, but not understanding that everybody else has done what they're being asked to do. And you're saying, why am I being so vague? It's because I don't want to give away a confidentiality at this point to that degree. I can dance around it and say, hey, look, this comes under the heading of we don't quite know how to deal with the public, but we're learning. And that's where that is, okay? So, all right, that's where that is. And so, Barry Lee says, what makes me not believe is because Pepsi is a sponsor of the NFL, so that was true. How can we be able to advertise as a sponsor? But Barry Lee, hold on a second. Let me show you something, all right? And I want you to say, and this is why I always say, the only belief there is in the Lord Jesus Christ. Everything else can be solved by the internet. And here's why, okay? Atlanta Falcons, boom, and there we go, okay, boom. And here's the reason why, all right? Keep in mind what you asked, okay? And here it, provided we'll scroll down, is.
With NFL Game Rewind, you
Bam.
get access to coaches' film. That's what the pros watch when they're breaking down plays. Relive every game on your laptop or
skip
tablet
that.
in HD on demand. With NFL Game Rewind, you've got some games to watch.
There you go. Mercedes-Benz Stadium, Coca-Cola. All right? See that? It's the same deal. So, Barry, you missed it last night. What I was saying is that it's basically the same deal. All right? Okay, I'll stop right there, okay? Coca-Cola roots run deep. Partnership soars high. Take a step high above the Atlanta skyline. Enjoy a Coca-Cola in celebration of the iconic beverage company's founding partnership with Mercedes-Benz Stadium, the highly anticipated new home of the NFL's Atlanta Falcons and Major League Soccer's Atlanta United. All right? So, you were saying? One has nothing to do with the other. In the way it works basically is that, yeah, you're right. The NFL, Pepsi is an official sponsor of the National Football League, but that extends around the league. It doesn't mean that they have the right to say, hey, look, we are the sponsor in this stadium for every other event, everything that goes on here, because Major League Soccer doesn't have that kind of relationship, and yet, okay, so it's domain based, it's realm based. That's Coca-Cola's home. Now, you would say, how would it square for an NFL game? Well, like the Super Bowl, well, that's easy. Pepsi is still the sponsor. Pepsi comes in, but it was temporary. So take the Super Bowl halftime show. What did you see? You saw that it was sponsored by Pepsi. And you saw Pepsi logo all over, okay? Right. Barry Lee says, I see Coca-Cola as sponsor of the stadium. Exactly. And it's exactly the same sponsorship that we were talking about last night. I guess you weren't here. And that's exactly what we were talking about. And what he's saying, my source, is, hey, look, that's the same thing. Well, he's saying, he didn't say it was the same thing because he doesn't know. He said that he was in a room when this negotiation happened, okay? And so who am I to tell him that he's wrong? Particularly when I have an example, a comparable. And not only that, that fits into it, okay? That makes absolute sense that that would be something that is ready to go and worked on. And I think I will be very excited when that is announced, because when it's announced, it'll give some hope that this thing is going to get done right. Because as I said last night, and as I said again tonight, and I'll say it again, look, if you're going to take the Raiders away from Oakland the way that you have, at least don't half-ass it. At least do it right. Give us a stadium that the NFL can be proud of, regardless of who the home ownership or the home team is that's occupying it. That's my point. All right. Now my question is, and it's something I haven't looked at, and I'm typing it right now. Inglewood, Rams sponsors, because I don't know who signed up to do what. Okay, at all, and it's they've got Lay's LA Stadium Entertainment District at Hollywood Park, and here's something that says Rams reportedly seeking record-smashing naming rights deal, but that was in 2017. Okay, so LA Rams Stadium designed as a destination, and that's Venues Now. And Rams push boundaries for VR. New experience will sell seating and sponsorships at Inglewood Stadium. And so Rams future, yeah. See, let me try this. LA Rams Stadium sponsors. LA Rams Stadium sponsor. No news. Priciest naming rights deal ever. Naming rights ignores the fact. This is March 30th, 2019. Okay, hold on a second. Naming rights deal knows the fact that that's the Coliseum. Excuse me. And see, the naming rights deal was announced for Coliseum. But, and that's United Airlines. United Airlines Memorial Coliseum. And, yeah. And so Air United's paying $69 million over 16 years to rename the old Coliseum. Once the $270 million renovation was completed, okay, and yeah, so United, it's called the United Airlines Memorial Coliseum. That's the old home of the Rams. Now, we still don't know what the new home of the Rams is going to be. Okay. And we still don't have, yeah, we still don't have an idea. We have zero idea. And there's no news about that either. Now, I'm wondering if Legends, who's responsible for handling both the Raiders and the Rams, are trying to bundle one deal for both stadiums. That would be interesting. Venues Now is still saying the Rams, as of March 1st of this year, may have the priciest naming rights deal ever. And see, here's the thing. If the Rams get the priciest naming rights deal ever, I think that hurts the Raiders' chances of getting something as pricey, because people are going to be judging that deal by the size, in part, of the LA market, right? And look, Las Vegas is number 42. I don't care what you build there, it's 42. So they have some things working against them. What this says is, this is from Venues Now, with the St. Louis Rams and San Diego Chargers both relocating, and with bidding reportedly, speculation has begun on naming rights. And it says with bidding reportedly at least $30 million a year for a minimum 20-year deal. That's according to Sports Business Journal. This would be the priciest naming rights deal in the history of the NFL. It is being reported by numerous sources that 62% will go toward paying for the stadium, with the remainder split equally between the two teams. The amount is in line for naming rights. Yeah. And see, that's the other thing I forgot, is that there are two teams. See, here's the thing. The report out of Las Vegas was that the Raiders were asking for $30 million a year over 20 years, but they're one team. So here we have a report that the Rams are asking for $30 million a year over 20 years, but for two teams. So again, that kind of comparison, you cannot say but that if the Rams and the Chargers get their deal at that level, the Raiders, there's no way. The Raiders will have to cut that in half and say, okay, we get $300 million. But if the Raiders cut that in half with a stadium that's reaching costs of over $2 billion, all right, and they have to pay back a that with interest is over a $1 billion line of credit, there is where your monetary troubles lay. All right? That's where your monetary troubles lay for the Raiders. That sets it up right there, okay? How the Raiders get out of that? Well, the easy answer is this. You have the state of Nevada approve a tax increment financing zone that includes the Raider property, the immediate adjacent blocks to that property as well, which are already slated for redevelopment, including hotels and everything else. The Raiders would be stupid not to do that. I told that not in that vernacular, but I said that to Dan Ventrelli. I've said that to Mark Davis. I've said that to Elliot McCabe, who nodded that in agreement that I was right. I said, you've got all that property around there that's increasing in value, and you're not capturing it for your own use as a stadium authority. That's ridiculous. And what is even more ridiculous is that the original enabling legislation, the Southern Nevada Tourism and Infrastructure and Investment Act, was designed with what would have been the most powerful stadium authority land grabbing tool in history. A tax increment financing zone, get this folks, so large it was 25 miles in around the radius of the stadium. Stadium's at the center, 25 miles. They can pick any land they want to, say that's a TIF zone for us. We'll use that, we'll use that, we'll use that. We'll take all this property tax money and we'll use it as we wish for development. That's how, I'm not kidding you, that's how the original legislation was made, okay? And here's Oakland Raider News, One Nation. Why did you hide him, Barry? Let him talk. He's actually my source, so unhide him. Please unhide him. I don't know why you did that, okay? Hey, Joseph Armendariz, please unhide him. All right? Yeah, I don't know why you guys are doing that. I mean, if you have something, this guy is, okay, don't do that, please. If you have an issue with, you're not certain about something, I'll let you know. But, if it's something vulgar, that's different. But if it's, look, we have electronic systems here that will catch that, okay? Yeah, I know you're not a troll. You're cool. I know you're not a troll, all right? Look, I know you're not a troll. You just arrived. I contacted Coca-Cola. They don't know about it. I put that out there as news, okay? But as I said, it's not a matter of whether you're right or wrong. It's very logical to deal what happened, as I was saying before you arrived. But Coca-Cola Public Relations doesn't know about it, all right? It doesn't mean it's not going on. It simply means they don't know about it. And they're checking around. Now, will they get back to me? Maybe. But I told them, they're here in Atlanta, I might add. What I told them was I was going to put it out as rumor and let the chips fall where they may. So, all right. But again, because before you arrive, Barry Lee, one of my great friends and moderators here, and a great supporter of the show, had said, "Hey, look, how can that happen? Because Pepsi is the NFL sponsor, and it's a great question." What I was explaining is that Coca-Cola would be the stadium sponsor, as Coca-Cola is here in Atlanta with the Falcons and Mercedes-Benz Dome. So Atlanta, I'm sorry, folks, but Atlanta, when it comes to sports and business, sets the gold standard. Oakland should copy Atlanta. Every single city should copy Atlanta in terms of its history and what it's done with sports of all kinds. Men's sports, women's sports, football, baseball, basketball, hockey, volleyball, you name it. And when it comes to the business of sports, I can find few areas. In fact, I can't think of a city that does better on a consistent basis than Atlanta. Perhaps I was thinking of Miami, but no, Miami does well in terms of football, Louisiana, and New Orleans. But when I think of all sports as a totality, okay, as a totality, Atlanta's number one. Atlanta has to be ranked. Atlanta should be ranked number one as a city for sports business. Atlanta gets it. This region gets it. All right, in a way unlike any other. Unlike any other. Las Vegas has to match this. I think Las Vegas can do it over time. They certainly have it within their possibility. Also, there's news that the Nevada legislature is going to take up the possibility of allowing gambling at the Raiders Stadium. If they agree to allow that, then the Raiders will have enough money to overcome their sponsorship woes. You hear what I'm saying? That will give them that money. And so if I'm Mark, and I know that, and I believe that's going to pass, you know what? That's why Mark Davis is joining all these boards. Mark Davis is into owing a lot of people. As a person at News 3 Las Vegas said to me, there are a lot of people, this is what she said, there are a lot of people who have a lot there are a lot of hands in this. How was it put to me? Oh, there are a lot of hands in this, talking about the Raiders deal, that shouldn't be there. Okay, and that person says as much as I'll say. There are a lot of hands in this that should not be there. Okay, so Rob Iman says Atlanta's going to take the hit with a heartbeat law. I think let's see how it comes out in court. All right, because it's going to be challenged in court. I don't think it's going to win, but yeah, it is sad. It's sad that this region would basically pull in North Carolina. That's how North Carolina lost a lot of its motion picture activity. You know, remember the whole deal with the gender law and the bathrooms and stuff, and how it basically screwed itself out of the, or almost screwed itself out of the NBA All-Star game and all that. It's, I mean, I see both sides of the coin, all right? First of all, my personal feeling is, yes, a woman has a right to choose, but I have never, I don't want to talk about that. It just hurts me to talk about it, okay? It just does. I mean, I see both sides of that. But my point is not this. My point is that what you have here is a culture clash, because you have this area, it's low cost, but let me put it this way. Let me put it in a way that I think can be succinctly understood. The problem in this area is that it is the classic Bible Belt and has not been socially liberal, okay? And it is feeling the pressure to be that now more than ever, and it loves the money. There are a lot of people who love the money. There are a lot of people who have relocated, and it's pushed up against those folks who feel like they're being invaded upon, even as much as the economy and the culture have been altered by the influx of the money and the people that have come from areas, not just California, but Atlanta has a huge influx of people from Europe and Eastern Europe as well. California, uh, uh, as I mentioned, California, New York, everywhere, but Canada. Okay, so that we came this close to Atlanta here. I don't say we because I'm not still a resident here, but Atlanta came this, and Georgia came this close to passing a pro-gambling law. They didn't. Had they done it, you would have seen casinos sprout up all over this region, and particularly around Atlanta. And my prediction would have been that in 10 years, Atlanta would look like Las Vegas. Plus the sport, you put those two, you've got the money. All right. So Rob Ivan says the problem is the South is getting more Trumpier. But I don't know. That's also an age issue. Okay, because Stacey Abrams came that close to winning the governorship, and arguably she won it. So this is an area that is in the throes of exciting change. Exciting because there's a lot of great, neat stuff going on around here. All right, a lot of great, neat people that live here, and there's always something to get involved in, always something to do. It's really quite rich here in that way, and so that this kind of legislative pushback should occur. It's quite logical. It's quite a logical development, or quite a logical occurrence. Rob Ivan says, I hope he hopes Abrams seeks a rematch. And so Oakland News says, like I said yesterday, we had a meeting and they revealed to us that Las Vegas Raiders Stadium will be a Coca-Cola account, meaning Coca-Cola will sponsor with all refreshments in that stadium. I got it. Hey, can you say to me, Oak News, when you said we had a meeting, who's the we? Because, I mean, if you're comfortable enough explaining that much and we don't know who you are, can you tell us in general terms who the we was? Who, I hope you are still around listening to that. Who's the we? And that would help me frame the next part of the story better, because what I'd like to do is I'd like to tell as much of this without getting you into trouble, as you said, follow you on Twitter. Okay, can you list your tweet again? And I'll do that right now. Put your do me a favor. Follow me. Here's how it makes it easier. At Zenny62. Okay, that's me. So follow me. Oh, you're at J. Okay, all right, cool. I'll do that right now. And that way you can answer my question there. All right, and hold on a second. Oops, that's not the one. Let's see here. I'm trying to go back and follow. Let's see here. I blocked you? Oh, okay. I blocked you. Okay. If I blocked you, it's probably because you're being insulting. But but hey, Oaktown is booming. I blocked, all right? Okay. So if I unblock you, which I just did, but you're not following me. Okay, so let me do it this way, because I would prefer, because I don't see anything on here about Coca-Cola. So let me do this. Rather than me engage that way, because I don't like to engage on social media like that, let's do this. Let's not do that. Here's the reason. I don't like to engage on social media, all right? I would prefer, on that. That I don't like, okay? So my preference would be to not follow, if you don't mind. And that's just not you, it's a lot of people. You're there, I unblocked you, but I cannot have the kind of discourse that has occurred. I don't care what the information is, okay? I've got access to Coca-Cola. If I need to find out more, I can do it that way. But I'm asking you to be civil and mature all the time. Do not get me into any, arguments or stuff with people who have little Twitter accounts. Because what happens is it becomes you trying to use my 124,000 followers to announce your ideas about things that I may not agree with, all right? Okay, cool. As long as we have that understanding, we will be friends. But there have been a lot of people that have misunderstood where I was coming from and engaged in a way that I wasn't comfortable. And look, I'm a guy who's used to people picking up the phone and calling. The other generation's used to texting. I text, but I'm sorry. Texting has been one of those deals that has destroyed our ability to understand each other by talking. Talking heals all wounds. It forces me to listen to you and you to listen to me just by its activity, right? I love that. I prefer that. That's why I do this medium. Because some people say, well, no, you do a podcast or whatever. No, I like this. And that's why people like visual media. They want to see and hear. Next you're going to be smell and touch. All right, I'm going off on a tangent. All right, but you're unblocked, okay? And we can communicate. And you know what? I'll tell you what. I'll follow you. I just did. You follow me back. And then that way we can communicate internally, right? Not on Twitter. Okay? But now it's just you and I, and we have a pipeline to each other. We can officially communicate information and everything else, and it's copacetic. I hope that's okay with you. It's cool. Yeah. So, all right. So follow me back. You follow me back, and we's cool, as they say. All right? So, so when you follow me back, I'll know that we're in like Flint. Anyone ever see that movie In Like Flint? Got it with James Coburn, Mr. like one-handed Academy Award push-up. I'm not kidding you, folks. That was James Coburn. All right. Okay. So. All right. So where are we now next? I don't see where he's following me back yet. So we'll just have to see how that goes. Oh, well. There are worse problems in life. Anyway, but that gets us to the next conversation. The Golden State Warriors. Oh, you found him via Twitter? Okay, cool. Follow him. Keep an eye on him, dude. All right. So my point is, we now have you just follow me? Awesome. We're in like Flint. Get Jim Coburn on the phone. Got it? Awesome. Okay, cool. Woohoo! Got it. All right. Like I said, get Jim Coburn on the phone. He's like, what's he talking about? Jim Coburn. What? James Coburn. James Coburn. One-handed. Push-up. No, you know what? It was Jack Palance. I'm sorry. I said it was Jack Palance did the one-handed push-up. That's it. Yeah. He's like, I can do this. This is 1992. I can do this. I can't. I can only play a few seconds of it for copyright reasons. I don't want to play the whole thing. But if you are an Academy junkie like I am, and you watched every Oscar you've had since you were aware that there was television, what I'm about to show you is one of the seminal moments in Oscars history. Comes up and he takes the acceptance speech, all right? And, it's right here. Okay, hold on a second. Yeah, hold on. Watch this, folks. This is Jim Coburn. Did I say that? I meant Jack Palance. This is Jack Palance, all right? There you go.
They forget to ask that you go out there and you do all these
Oops.
things. Like, for instance, you go out there. No, that's nothing really. As far as the two-handed push-ups are concerned, you can do that all night, and it doesn't make any difference what you say.
Well, you get the idea. Oh my gosh. One of those moments that just, you have to pause and just laugh and say, what was it? That was it Lockoff Smearlock would say, "Oh, what a country!" But at any rate, okay. Oh, speaking of which, speaking of what a country, I said this at the start. I'll say it again. As we, lurch toward the end of this program telecast, Will Durst is gonna be here. Now, I'm gonna bet a lot of you don't know who Will Durst is, but he is a political satirist and comedian, and a legendary fixture in comedy around the country, and particularly in San Francisco and the Bay Area. Jamal Mills is here. How you doing, Jamal? I got a question for you in a second, my friend. Hold on a second. But tomorrow night, Eastern, 11 o'clock. Out there in the West, 8 o'clock. Will Durst is going to be here. The Punchline is closing, located at 444 Battery. If you have a chance, go to the Punchline. Have something to eat, enjoy a show, whatever, because it's closing in August. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the changing San Francisco, comedy in the era of Trump. He's got all kinds of stuff to say. We're going to be in like Flint. There's that again. I'm going to ask him if he can do a one-handed push-up like Jack Palance. He's going to be on the phone, so we won't be able to see it. Unless, of course, he decides to switch over to Facebook Messenger at the last minute, which I doubt, but you never know with me, so stick around, okay? Jamal Mills, would you not say that Atlanta is the best city for the sports business? Just asking, all right? Okay, now, here's the thing. We're going to talk about the Warriors and the Trailblazers, okay? Coming up, all right? The Warriors and the Trailblazers odds right now. And here are the predictions. The betting odds are basically that the Warriors are going to win, all right? And now the Warriors face the Trailblazers. Some people think that the Trailblazers are going to upset the Warriors, all right? Now, Heavy.com, Jamal Mills says it's Atlanta. Welcome to Zenny62. If you have not done so, please subscribe. Thank you. All right. Hit the bell at the top there. Ding. And, unfortunately, it doesn't make a ring ding when you do it. It should. I'm going to talk to the Trailblazers. I'm going to talk to YouTube about that, all right? Did I see Kawhi's? Oh, yes, I did. Made a video about that with my reaction. Oh, my God. That was sick, wasn't it? That was sickly good. That ball went up and down and then in. It went up, boing, boing, and then in. Wow. Okay. So the prediction is, well, you can't. The Warriors are favored in both the opener and Jamal, I have not gone to a Falcons game yet. Believe it or not, I haven't. A large part of the reason is this is just being out here. Let me amend that. Since I started coming here, I have been to a Falcons game at the Georgia Dome. And that was Packers preseason game. And I've always threatened to go back, but no, I've been to more Raider games. I've been to Raider games here. Yeah. The Super Bowl Levi Stadium, yeah. But I haven't been to a Falcons game. I didn't try to get a ticket for this year's Super Bowl, even though it was here. I did get a media pass at the last minute for the days leading up to the Super Bowl, right? but I have not been in that stadium yet, and that's a crime. And you went to the Falcons Raiders game. Jamal Mills said he went to that game, had the most fun. Okay, so here is my question. I want those of you who think the Warriors are going to win tomorrow night, do me one favor, all right? And give me a Y like that, okay? Or yes. Like, I think the Warriors are going to win tomorrow night. Anybody else? Yes or no? You can say you're not sure, which is not sure would be NS, right? Yeah. So let's take a poll right here. What do you think? Will the Warriors win? Yes or no? The count says yes. Everyone, yes. Jamal says yes. Well, he says yee, which is why. Okay. And the rest of your side, oh, yeah, more yeses coming in. Raider News says the Oakland kid will take over. I like. He's talking about Damon. So basically, he's saying that Portland will beat the Warriors. So he says no. Okay. Ooh, an outlier. All right. Jamal Mills has a laugh out loud. What else? Damian, I know his name, but I was gonna say Damian Lillard. Hey, I gotta ask you, while we're asking about yeses and nos, how many of you think Joel Embiid is a crybaby? All right, I gotta find that video of Joel Embiid, just crying to his girlfriend. Whoa. Where is that? Crying. I wouldn't say he's crying Jordan. I would say he's just crying, man. They're like, oh man, he deserves some privacy. But being privacy, the dude's bawling out in public. How can you? I mean, Ryan Clark even said it. Joel Embiid is ugly crying. That's what it should be, man. It's supposed to hurt. I ain't mad at him at all. I'm not mad at him at all, but it is funny. I'm sorry, it just is. I mean, I have. Look, I hated losing Monopoly, but I never cried about it. Okay, I'm like, I didn't. I'm like, really? All right. I mean, I should delve into this more. And his girlfriend. I know his girlfriend was a model. Here's Joel Embiid right here. And you know what's interesting about this video is I don't know if this is the reverse shot or like, you know, reverse polar, right? Or if there was more than, or I think it was two cameras.
You know, having to be consoled right there. This is a young guy.
Here it is. Here it is.
Takes a lot of grief.
Here it is. Are you ready for this, folks? Hold on a second. I got the big. Is this gonna explain? Here it is. All right, cool. This. All right, look there. See, there he is. All right. There he is. Okay. What's this dude shaking his head for? Wait, that's hilarious. This has been seen almost 1 million times. There he is. Oh, poor baby. He's wiping the tears. And well, you know what? You better marry that girl, man. That's all I got to say. If after this, Joel Embiid, this dude's shaking his head for. What's that all about? I mean, why is he shaking his head? I mean, what's that all about? I mean, I hope it's not jealousy. I mean, of all the things to do, he's shaking his head, right? Why is that dude shaking his head? That's crazy. That's crazy. Oh, by the way, in case you're wondering, uh, this is this is another shot of his girlfriend. All right, that's his girlfriend. Who? Yeah, that's her model girlfriend. So there you go. Like I said, if he doesn't marry her, you're going to hear about all kinds of crap that he did. She will not let him live that down at all. Okay? What you say says she's fine. She's fine. Yeah. That's hilarious. But I mean, he was walking up the ramp, tears were just falling. Oh my God. Oh my Lord. Man, oh man. I look. And this guy on Twitter says, "I'm fine that you cried, but had you come into this season in shape and ready to play, you wouldn't have been exhausted in the fourth quarter and you would have won, making crying unnecessary." Ooh. Oh my gosh. It's hilarious. Absolutely. And then Cameron Butler came to Joel Embiid's defense, saying that players deserve post-game privacy. Excuse me, the dude, he's in the corridor. How can you privacy? He's letting it all hang out, you know. Now you've got all these tears of like LeBron crying. Although I think the LeBron crying thing is just made up. I think that somebody doctored that. That's what it looks like. Certainly. So I just can't get over him walking up the ramp like that and just losing it. You know? I mean, he just lost it. But I mean, that's the way the ball bounces, you know? That just happened. Things don't always go the way that you want. I learned that a long time ago. I learned that. This is what I'm talking about. Take a look at this. Take a look at this. All right. There, all right? Yeah, Jamal Miller said he cried as soon as he made a shot on court, too. See? All right? But look at that. He's just an emotional dude, okay? That's cool. Look, you're not a man if you can't cry. But there is something to be said for crying that much. I'm sorry. I just have to say that. So oh, man. Boy. Save it, you know, yeah, whatever. There was nothing he could do. I mean, that pick, yeah, that's what I'm saying. That picture is just like, dude, come on, man. It's just like, it's life goes on. I mean, you know what? We're all going to see how he responds. It should make him not take any situation for granted, because like the rest of us, I mean, I'm sure he thought that Kawhi Leonard was not going to hit that shot and that he didn't really have to block it. If Joel Embiid thought that there was a real chance of Kawhi Leonard hitting that shot, he'd have blocked it. He'd have swatted that thing, because he can do that. We've seen it, okay? But he sort of gave it a kind of a half, like you know, kind of like a half gorilla, right? He would have given it the full, like, pow, get that thing out of here, right? He didn't do that, okay? Okay, hey, I'll see what you say. Hey, but stick around, come back tomorrow. Yeah, he signs the, I think I'm going to sign off as well, because I've got another big day tomorrow, and I got to get ready for, again, Will Durst. Will Durst. I'm typing this in. Will Durst. In capital letters. Will Durst. And one more time. Will Durst. So if you like to laugh, come on by. 8 p.m. PST, 11 p.m. EST, and we can talk, because it'll be after the Warrior game, right? So we can talk about that. with Will, and then talk up with Will about the punchline and comedy and politics and all kind. We're gonna have a lot of fun and old San Francisco and all this stuff. So, hey, you live in Las Vegas. Hey, you're on Pacific Standard Time. Will Durst is a political satirist whose tentacles of intellect extend worldwide, meaning somebody in Las Vegas has heard of Will Durst. He's performed in Vegas. All right. He's a comedian. You want to laugh, right? Come on by. All right. All right, folks. It is lurching toward 2 o'clock. Any parting thoughts as I slowly wind down? I thought I brought something to drink up here with me. I guess I didn't. Wow, that's surprising. No wonder I'm still thirsty. I had a bottle of water that I thought I brought up with me, and it's not here, as well as a glass of juice I was drinking. And what that means, I never brought them up here because, wow, my scatterbrain. Oh, by the way, if you've never seen Ferris Bueller's Day Off, it's on Sundance Channel now. Watch it. It is fun. I love Ferris Bueller's Day Off. I cannot watch it enough. All right. All right. See everybody later. Juice behind on the table. It is? No, this isn't it. This is not it. No, I wish it was it. No, that's not it. Thanks though, because I quite literally left it downstairs. Is what happened. I wish that were it. No. Thanks. I appreciate the effort. Good night, everybody. I'll say good night.